We went short the NASDAQ as we crossed below this trend line. I closed out for multiple put positions for over 100%. Then also today I called IWM calls. They ended up going 80 to 90% each. And I posted all of these plays on Twitter completely for free. So go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Hamid Trades. So in today's video, we're going to go over the overall stock market, all of the indices, the dollar, the bonds, the crypto markets, and of course, all of the stocks you guys wanted me to do technical analysis on. All right. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right. So this is a chart of the SPY. I don't want to regurgitate everything that we've been covering the past few days. Yeah, we called these bearish moves. That's fine. Now what? Okay. So now the MACD is extremely oversold on the SPY. Also, we can see that we closed right below the 50% fib level at 426. Another thing to take into consideration is the RSI sharply fell as well. Okay, so this is it right here. So the SPY needs to cross above 426.31, or it needs to hold above 423.57. So we can see that we crossed even below that level today, and it looked like we were headed towards 419, but we ended up bouncing back. And we closed at 425 essentially. All right. So now we need to see if we can cross back above the 50% fib level, or if we're just going to consolidate a bit here, find support above the 618% fib level at 423, give enough time for the MACD to even out, and then propel upward and bounce off of these levels. All right. That's really it on the SPY. Don't want to waste any more time. We could also see that we bounced exactly clean off of the 50 SMA right here, this line right here, and we can see that that held as support. Okay, so that is a also very good sign. So there's the analysis on the SPY. Now we can go ahead and go look at the IWM. All right, first things first on the IWM, you can see that we opened up outside of the lower level of the B band. So when that happens, that means we are extremely, devastatingly overextended to the downside. So the odds of a reversal to the upside are much more likely, especially in a bullish environment. And we are currently in a bullish environment. So today, after closing out my NASDAQ puts, I bought and alerted you guys into IWM calls. And each of those calls ended up running up to 80 to 90% each. So the reason why I took that play is because we were devastatingly low, right, outside of the lower level of the B band, and that worked out perfectly. So now what needs to happen is either we bounce back into the B bands and end up, crossing back into 214, 215 area, reclaiming this trend line here, or what can end up happening now on the IWM is we fall down to potentially around 207, which it coincides with where this 200 simple moving average is. And then we potentially hold above 207, give time for this extremely oversold MACD and this extremely oversold RSI to find support and then bounce. But it is a very good sign that we are very overextended on multiple different fronts. On the B bands, we're extended to the downside, the MACD, and the RSI. So these are three big reasons why there could potentially be a bounce in the IWM. But especially since we didn't really make much ground and we didn't close higher, that's not potentially a very good sign. Okay, so it looks like we can potentially fall a bit lower before we go higher on the IWM. All right. But yeah, this is why I say to, monitor and check out the Bollinger Bands, because this play on the indices, specifically the SPY, the QQQ, and the IWM, when you trade the opposite direction of where the Bollinger Band, where the price movement is outside of the Bollinger Band, it is a very, very high likely play that it's going to work. So for example, back in May, when we fell outside of the lower level, if you were to buy calls, you would be profitable. Same case in July 8th, same case today. And that's literally just why we took the day trade. We were very overextended to the downside. And now we just need to see if we can hold support. And yeah, that's about it for the IWM. Let's take a look at the 10-year yield. Obviously, the 10-year yield also just capitulated to the downside because the IWM also didn't do well. So like I've been saying, when the US 10-year yield and the dollar do well, then the IWM does well. But, you know, the 10-year yield didn't do well today. It had a huge red day, which was another reason why the IWM had a huge red day. Okay, so now we can go ahead and look at the NASDAQ and the bonds and the dollar. So the NASDAQ, we played this pretty well. So essentially, what we did was I went short as we crossed below this darker trend line here. All right. And then at 354, this was my target. I wanted it to retest this 23.6% fib level at around 354. We ended up going even lower. I could have made way more money on my puts. That's completely fine because we made money on the upside on the IWM calls. So what's next now for the NASDAQ? All right, so we're clearly at this very important level of support. We're extremely oversold on the MACD, and we're not overbought anymore on the RSI. Clearly, we fell back down to 53 when we were trading at above 70 for weeks, okay? So now that the NASDAQ has simmered off just a bit, all right, what needs to happen is either we're going to consolidate above these support levels here, above essentially 350, all right, because I don't think that 354 is going to hold. If it does, that's a miracle. But we need to consolidate above a level of support. So either it's going to be 354, today's lows, or 350. We have to consolidate above support, give time for the MACD to, even out a bit, and have a foundational level of support to give potential room for the MACD to cross up, and then the NASDAQ to cross up off of that support zone. And same thing with the RSI. Okay, so that is what needs to happen on the NASDAQ. If we cross below 354, right, and we also cross below 350, then this is going to be the next target, in my opinion. It's going to be the 38.2% fib level at 346.70. Okay, that is going to be a very, very important level. And again, we just trade the levels blindly. I could be completely wrong. That's why I didn't wait to go short until we got a definitive, safe short entry. And that's exactly what we did. That's exactly what happened. So now I could be completely wrong with like how I'm viewing the bonds or the MACDs or the RSIs, technical indicators, blah, blah, blah. The levels don't lie though. Okay, so 350 is the must hold essentially for the NASDAQ after everything is said and done. If 350 breaks, then 347 is going to be the next downside target. And in reality, that isn't even a huge drop. We've only really fell about 4%. Okay, down to 350 is only approximately 4.2%. Okay, down to 346, it's a 5% drop. Okay, so it's not a huge, oh my god, the market is done. These things happen. Okay, especially when we've been in a huge uptrend for 2 months. Pullbacks happen. All right, so that's why we just wait and be patient on the pullback. We were aggressive on the short, and now we just wait to see. We don't want to catch a dropping knife. That's it. Okay, so there's the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the 30-year yield. So the 30-year yield, obviously, it had a really, really good day, but it didn't coincide completely into a very, very good day in the NASDAQ. Okay, so this is extremely bullish. This is a very good sign overall for the NASDAQ longer term. When the 30-year yield and the dollar do well, then the NASDAQ does well. Okay, so the 30-year yield clearly crossed back above the 200 simple moving average, and now it's starting to get a bit more overextended to the upside. It's trading outside of the upper level of the B band. It's now overbought on the RSI, and it's overbought on the MACD, with some more room to go. Okay, now let's take a look at the dollar. And the dollar clearly had a very strong day as well, because, you can see the effects of the dollar on the crypto market. The dollar looks like it's about to cross above on the MACD, which is very bullish. It did, actually. We're breaking above levels of resistance, and we still aren't overbought yet on the RSI. So overall, this is very, very good, and this is a strong formation on the dollar regardless. We just need to hold these levels of support. This could start to fall to the downside if this uptrend doesn't hold. But aside from that, this is strong momentum to the upside. So we need to see if the momentum can continue on the dollar. But aside from that, that's really it for the overall. Oh, sorry, we forgot to go over crude oil. So crude oil, over the weekend, what ended up happening was OPEC decided to increase the amount of supply. So obviously when supply increases, the price of crude oil goes down, right? Because they're making more barrels of oil. So if there's more barrels of oil, that means that the price overall of oil is going to go down. That's exactly what happened. And the other scare is that there's a new COVID variant that OPEC is also worried about. So those two things happened over the weekend, which is the reason why we fell so sharply today. We've been monitoring crude oil, and today is the first day we had a very, very dramatic move to the downside. We're very, very overextended to the downside on the Bollinger Bands, purely based off of negative news. All right. So the next level that needs to hold on crude oil is going to be this 786% fib level at 64.86. All right. If that doesn't hold, I mean, this can fall back much, much lower. All right. So we have to key off of crude oil. If crude oil is doing well, then the overall stock market is going to do well. But because we had a very, very red day, we need to start monitoring this a bit more. So obviously you can see that we're very, very oversold on the MACD. Now we just need to see if we can consolidate above support and give potential room to the upside on the MACD for a bounce. And that's essentially it for the overall stock market. Now we can go ahead and check out what's going on in the crypto market. All right, first off, we can see that the MACD is oversold and it's moving upward, right? But Bitcoin price is going downward. So that is very, very bearish, because in the SPY or the NASDAQ or the IWM or anything really, when the MACD is going up, the price of the asset should also be going up. But the fact that the price of the asset is going down, that is a very, very bearish signal, and that is a warning signal. Okay, so you can see that we're having trouble even staying above 31,500. We're at 3,800, right? So now it needs to stay above 30,000, and it looks like I'm not sure if we can stay above 30,000, to be honest. So this in and of itself is a very, very bearish signal. We're moving upward, price is moving downward. Very, very bad. Okay, so 30,000 needs to hold. If 30,000 doesn't hold, then be ready to buy around, 27, 28,000 potentially. Let's take a look at Ethereum now. So Ethereum obviously is not doing well either, because Bitcoin is not doing well. Same concept here. The MACD is moving upward, but the price is moving downward. Okay, so now what we could see in the short term is, a bit of a pop up, because this is like a falling wedge sort of pattern. So we could see like a break of the trend line, and it'll get everyone bullish again. And what'll end up most likely happening is, as we break above that trend line, it'll cross above for a day or two, and then potentially either retest this trend line or retest where we broke out from, right? And then we'll make a decision. Either we're going to capitulate down to the downside and completely just shatter all altcoins and, DeFi tokens and Ethereum tokens, etc. Or are we going to continue up to the upside? All right. So I think we should see some sort of like a strong movement within the next 2 to 3 days on the crypto markets in general. All right. So just be careful on that. And just be patient. This isn't going anywhere. You can wait to buy above good buy zones, or you can wait to buy lower. All right, so just wait and just be patient. That's really it. All right, now I'm gonna go over the 30 million stocks that you guys wanted me to go over. Yeah, I hope you guys found value from this video. If you guys enjoyed the video, please subscribe. It means a lot. It means that I'm doing something right. And now let's go ahead and do the technical analysis. Apple. All right, first of all, again, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoy. So anyway, Apple, right? We crossed below this uptrend line that we've also been monitoring, right? Similar to the QQQ uptrend line. Apple also had an uptrend line. We closed below it. We opened below it, so we gapped down below it, right? Now the main key levels on Apple are going to be 141 and then 140, essentially. So if 141 and 140 breaks, then that is going to be a potential very good sign to short, all right? But yeah, overall, Apple is not doing well because the NASDAQ is not doing well, okay? And of course, obviously, because the SPY is not doing well either. That's it. So Tesla now. All right, so Tesla, we're still maintaining these same Fibonacci levels. We're still trading around these same levels. We can see that its MACD is oversold. We had a green day, and now what needs to happen is Tesla needs to hold above 636. Okay, so if Tesla holds above 636, we can start. You can clearly see this is a good potential bullish reversal. All right, it has all of the aspects of a potential reversal. The RSI is moving upward, the MACD is moving upward, and remember, the price is now moving upward. All right, so this looks way better than Bitcoin and Ethereum. So this could potentially go back up to 663, and then even potentially back up to these higher levels here at 690. All right, so Tesla overall looks pretty good, and yeah, bullish above 636, really. All right. If it breaks down below 636, it can go all the way back down to 602. So yeah, that's just something to watch on Tesla. AVXL, the chart looks very, very similar to the rest of the market. But essentially, you know, we're trading outside of the lower level of the B band. We returned back in. So what needs to happen is we hit a low of 2028 today, right? But the main level of support is going to be approximately $20. Right, so if $20 doesn't hold on AVXL, then that is a very, very bearish sign. But a good sign is that we are extremely oversold on the MACD. So if we find support above 20, we can potentially bounce back and retest at least $23. So that is a good sign for AVXL. ATOS, very similar. Lower level of the B band, we fell very heavily. The level that needs to hold on AVXL, in my opinion, is 340. So we can see that the MACD is now sharply fell. The RSI sharply fell as well. If we hold support above 350, 340, that would be a very potentially bullish signal and bullish setup for ATOS. Okay, so that's really it. If we can hold support there and bounce, that would be really good. We could potentially see $6 again on ATOS. Nvidia, super, super strong. We returned back down to this 23.6% fib level. This is not applicable anymore. Give me 1 second. We have to bring this back up here. Okay, so all right, that's where we have to go. So we can see that we actually held the 38.2% fib level here from this entire move, right? So we were monitoring this similar move in the NASDAQ, and we made higher highs, right? So that's why we have new trend lines to look at, no, new Fibonacci levels to look at. So, all right, so this overall looks very, very bullish. We fell outside of the lower level of the B band. We're extremely oversold on the MACD. We were extremely oversold, not oversold, but we fell sharply on the RSI. Multiple red days, huge red days, and today was a nice reversal. All right. So the level that needs to break back above on Nvidia was 765.50. If we can break above 765.50, we can easily see 800 again. But now, if 722 doesn't hold, we can see 687 on Nvidia. But overall, I mean, this is very, very bullish. This looks like a really nice bullish setup for Nvidia. DD. So DD, we can see that it fell all the way to the lows of where it was trading before on July 8th. All right, so I mean, there's not much to look at on this stock because it doesn't have much history. But I mean, essentially, if it makes new lows and it crosses down below $11, then that is going to be very bad. If it can maintain above $11, then I mean, that's the baseline support. That's really just the key level that needs to hold here. And yeah, that's really it on DD. Sony, we have to switch up to fib levels here as well. Go ahead and do that. All right. So clearly, Sony has been very, very choppy. We've been falling as well, as the SPY and the NASDAQ and the IWM have also been falling. So this looks very similar to the SPY, right? So the SPY, we can see that it, broke down below the 50% fib, and it started to move towards the 618% fib, right? So 98.50 is a very important level for Sony, but we closed right below it. So that's not potentially a great signal, okay? So we need to hold support either above the 618% fib at $97 or above the 50% fib at $98.50. So we need to find support above one of those two levels. That would give enough time for the MACD to, potentially make a bounce, because we are oversold on the MACD and we are sharply fell on the RSI. So overall, I do think that Sony can move back up to $100 soon if these levels of support hold. All right. And that's really it. I mean, if the rest of the market bounces, then Sony is going to make a very nice bounce as well. Wish, you can see Wish is still trading along this trend line from back in April, the end of April, and we're trading above it, which is very nice. We can see the MACD is crossing above, and the price of the stock is moving upward also, which is bullish. So essentially we need to see if $9 can hold on Wish. If $9 can hold, right, and this trend line essentially can hold, and if we can break back above 966, if we can break back above 966, then we can easily come and retest 1018. And if 1018 can break, then we can easily come and retest 1050, all within literally probably like the same hour. All right. And then from there, that's when the fun can start. And if the rest of the market, the IWM, the SPY are bouncing heavily, then we can see, back to $11.50, $12. And yeah, let's take a look at this. Yeah, we can see tons of resistance at around 1050. So yeah, that's really it. This is a nice little reversal here for the day. We need to see if this can maintain itself. All right, real, very similar. It needs to hold today's lows at, 1550. If 1550 doesn't hold, while also crossing above on the MACD, this is supposed to be a very, very bullish signal. All right, so if we cross above, but we start breaking down below in the price, that is very bearish. But overall, this is a nice, bullish reversal candle. We need to see if we can cross back above today's highs. If we could cross above $17, then we can come and retest $17.24. Break above that, then we can easily come and retest, $18. But again, it all really depends on the rest of the indices and the rest of the stock market. All right. Clorox is doing very well recently. We can see that it crossed above on the MACD. See, this is very bullish. We crossed above on the MACD and we broke above levels of resistance. Whereas on these other stocks, we're crossing above on the MACD, yet we're barely holding on. All right. So I want you guys to understand the difference in strength for the MACD in different stocks and different setups. All right. So back to Clorox. We crossed above resistance. As long as we hold above 187.40, that should be very, very good. If we can hold above 187.40 and the MACD can continue on higher, then we can, easily come back and retest 190 and upward once more. Okay, but overall, Clorox is doing well because of the new COVID variant, the news that's coming out. And Clorox is, a stay-at-home stock. So when, we were in the stay-at-home, because of quarantine and stuff, Clorox was doing very well. So that's another reason why Clorox has been doing pretty well recently. And yeah, essentially it looks very, very bullish. And that's that for Clorox. CCIV, again, another stock that fell to the lower level of the B bands, heavily affected by, small cap stocks, the SPY. So it needs to hold above $20. That's really it. If it holds above $20, then that's great. If it breaks $20, it can go all the way back down to $18.68. And this isn't, the best bullish setup. It doesn't really have a solid foundation. There's no real reason to buy in yet, because we just broke very strong levels of support. to the downside. So now what needs to happen is we're probably going to come and retest these lows at around 2090, right? And we might even break down below it a bit, but we need to find some sort of tangible multi-touched support, because for now it's only one candle. So we need to see if we can have multiple levels of support above, 20, 2050, because the MACD is oversold and the RSI is not overbought. So those are two good indicators of a potential upward reversal. So we need to see if CCIV can hold above those levels of support, use the MACD oversold condition to bounce back. And if it bounces and it crosses above first 23, then 24, then 25, then, and especially if the overall stock market is also doing very well, then CCIV can also, start really moving. So I did analysis on URNM a few videos ago. I hope you remember it. And I said that this was a potential bear flag, right? And to find the downward target of the bear flag, you take the flagpole, you clone the flagpole, and you drag the upper level of this line to the lower level of the flag. And that's how you get a target to the downside. And you can see that it's been working out very well. You could also see that the URNM is trading outside of the lower level of the B band. We're also very oversold on the RSI. Two very, very bearish. This isn't a good setup. So essentially it needs to hold above $52. If you can hold above 52, find some sort of support above $50 to $52, that would be great. But we just need to see how it responds. These are not good. This is not a good stock to buy right now. Just because it fell, it doesn't automatically mean that it's a great stock to buy. We need to see how it supports itself. And once it supports itself well, then we can invest in it and buy into it. All right. But yeah, that's it for URNM. PLTR. So PLTR bounced off a very important level of support today at 21. So we crossed above 21. We closed at 2150. Very nice move here for PLTR. The MACD is moving upward. The RSI is moving upward. The price is moving upward. So, overall, it's a pretty nice setup. Also, you can see a falling wedge. So if the falling wedge, breaks to the upside, that's also a bullish signal, right? So if you can cross above to the upside, that's very nice. Overall, I mean, if $21 holds, then there's no reason for PLTR to really be bearish on PLTR. If 21 holds and also $20 hold, then I mean, overall, this is, a pretty decent little scalp upward to the upside for a few days, potentially for a swing trade. And that's that on PLTR. All right, JMIA. So you can see that JMIA was building some sort of a support, but then it came to retest the lower level of the candle. All right, and we're basically closed exactly at that level. We hit 2160, right, to the lows. And today to the lows, we went to 2134, and we bounced off of that level, and now we are at 2277. The MACD is moving upward. The RSI is moving upward. Very similar to these other stocks that we were looking at and the IWM related stocks, right? So now essentially we need to see if we can hold above today's lows. And if it can hold above today's lows and break above today's highs at 2373, then that's a very good opportunity for JMIA to go and retest $25, potentially. But again, it all depends on the overall stock market. We need to see how the other indices are doing. Archon, it needs to hold above $3.06. Today, you can see that it closed at 342. The MACD looks terrible. I'm not sure, very, very bad news. So obviously the mathematics and everything on the indicators are messed up. The RSI, same thing, right? But it needs to hold above 306. So if 306 can hold, we can consolidate, give some time for the math to even out. Then we can go and potentially touch $4 and then much higher. All right. But overall, I'm not sure what happened on the stock. But yeah, that's that. Rolls-Royce, very, very bad move. Made new lows. I'm not sure what news came out. I'm not sure if they had a stock split either. But overall, this is very bad. There's no support. Yeah, it made new lows. There's no support. There's not much else to really look at here. We need to see if it can, you know, have some sort of a support. Above $1, above $1.25, key psychological levels for, you know, penny stocks. But we can see that it's now oversold on the MACD. It's very oversold on the RSI. So those are two, and it's outside of the lower level of the B band. So those are potential reasons that it can reverse back up to the upside, but there's no real support level to look at here, okay, for Rolls-Royce. So we just need to see how it finds support on its own, and then we can make a move on Rolls-Royce. BA also falling because I believe the COVID news. So, you know, lots of airlines and things are taking a hit. Also, obviously, because the IWM was not doing too well. We could also see that it's trading outside of the lower level of the B band. We crossed this very important fib level at 220, a very important level in general. We crossed down below it. The RSI is now extremely oversold. The MACD is oversold. We just need to see again, because a lot of these stocks are in free for all. So we need to see if they can support themselves somewhere. So the next key level of support is obviously going to be $200. $200 doesn't hold, then it's going to be $196.79. And that's that really on Boeing. We can see that it's up in the post market, looking towards jumping back into the Bollinger Bands. But, you know, overall, this is a falling knife, and I would be careful, because we can end up falling even lower. All right, on Boeing. AMC. So AMC had a nice day today. The MACD is moving upward. The RSI is flat. We held above 31. So, you know, this low here at $32 is very, very important. We held that as well. And we crossed back up, and we're at 34.62 at the close. So what really needs to happen is, can we hold and find support above $35 again? If we can do that, and we can consolidate enough, and if there's enough people, because this stock is moving based off of people, all right? So if there are enough people socially engaged in AMC and GameStop conversations, then hedge funds will pick up on that and will incite people to also want to buy. They'll pay for, because you have to understand that hedge funds are also at war with each other, specifically because hedge funds understand, okay, there's this other hedge fund that is short this, for example, and they understand that if they understand their position size, they understand what will liquidate them, they understand all of that. So they know that, okay, if hedge fund X is short this position and it falls a certain percentage, they're going to have to cover their shorts. So these hedge funds are at war with each other to make each other cover shorts, to make each other lose money. Because once there's less players playing the game, then the hedge funds that are on top can manipulate the price the most. Okay? But potentially, I mean, it's not always a terrible thing, but at the same time, what's going on with the people, that is very, very important, because it shows that the people also have power. It's not just the hedge funds that are controlling the narrative and controlling the price. Okay? So that's really it. It needs to cross above 35.23. If it holds above 35.23, that's going to be a very good sign for AMC. EGLX, same concept with a lot of these other stocks. They're just in free fall, really. We just need to see how, you know, it stays above today's lows at 427, and then if it holds above 427, if it doesn't hold above 427, we need to see how it holds at $4. All right, the MACD is curling up very sharply, but the price is not moving in correlation to that sharp move to the upside here. And the RSI is barely moving upward as well. So that's not the best setup for a potential bull reversal to the upside on EGLX. I'd be careful. Disney, What a roller coaster. What a roller coaster. So a few days ago, everyone was making a lot of money on Disney. And then obviously Disney had, I'm not sure what happened, but two very, very bad days. All right. So Disney just needs to hold above 172 area, right? If it holds above 172, which is also perfectly at today's lows, then it can potentially make a bounce. But you can see that this was the first day that the MACD crossed lower. So Disney can potentially see 170, all right? But it just literally depends on the overall stock market. If the overall stock market does well, then Disney is going to bounce off of 172 and go back up to retest, 176, and then 178, 190. If the overall stock market does bad, then Disney is going to go down to 170. All right. Rocket. So Rocket, very similar to these other stocks. We need to see how it does in today's lows. So today's lows was 1678. If 1678 doesn't hold, then we're headed to the all-time lows at 1622. If those two levels don't hold, then obviously, a key psychological level would be $16 for a Rocket. All right. We can see that the MACD is crossing upward. We just need to see how we maintain those lows and how the rest of the stock market is doing. SKLZ is almost back to this very important level of support that we've been monitoring. That was support and resistance multiple times throughout the past, which was 1350. So we hit a low of 1394. 1394 doesn't hold, then 1350 is going to be a very key level of support. We can see that the MACD is oversold. The RSI is oversold. We can potentially make a bounce here. So we can bounce here. We can cross back above on the MACD. The price can move back upward as well. This looks like a falling wedge. So multiple different reasons for a bullish reversal on Skills. And of course, obviously, if the rest of the stock market does well, Skills is most likely going to be a stock that, is going to be like a mover tomorrow. So I might potentially, oh, wow. No, I forgot. Tomorrow is a holiday, a Muslim holiday. It's Eid. Yeah, but I would have definitely potentially played Skills tomorrow. Wow. Okay. Yeah, never mind. But Skills looks very, very bullish. Clove just crossed above on the MACD, but didn't cross any levels of resistance, really. So that's not bullish. That's not bullish at all. So we need to see how it holds above 767. If 767 doesn't hold, then it can fall down back to $7, right? But obviously, if today we can cross back and break above 840, then we can retest 9, and then we can go back up higher to $10, etc. Right? But overall, this doesn't look bullish because the MACD is crossing upward, yet we are barely really doing anything on Clove's price action. So that's not a good sign. Facebook also, yeah, I mean, like this is not a very bullish set. I guess we can go ahead and extend this line to the right. So this was the bottom of this. We were monitoring this bull flag, right, before on Facebook, and what I do sometimes is I extend the flag levels to the right to see how those levels act as support. So really, I mean, if we cross down below 332 and we start falling even heavier, then that's not going to be a very good sign for Facebook. Overall, this setup right here is not a good sign either. It just shows that there's a lot of different stocks that can potentially fall a bit lower on the NASDAQ before going back higher. All right. So yeah, if 334.54 doesn't hold, which is today's low, 332 is going to be the next level of support. And then if 332 doesn't hold, then we're going to come and retest 330. And yeah, then it's just, just going back down to these levels of support for Facebook. But overall, I mean, it's not the best setup. Doesn't look very bullish. Amazon, it looks a bit more bullish than Facebook, only because we had a decent reversal to the upside. We're very, very oversold on the MACD. We're very, sharply moved downward on the RSI as well. And we held above 35 3,500. So 3,500 was very, very important level of support. And what did we hit to the low for today was 34.99. We held that as support. So we cracked down below 3,500 by $1. And we held and we bounced back up $50. So that in general is a very good sign. We closed at today's highs. And overall, we need to see if Amazon can cross above the 20 exponential moving average at 35.62. If that can break, then we can go and retest 3,600 and 3,650. But again, overall, it depends on the SPY, the QQQ, and the overall stock market. All right. But in general, this is a good sign for a reversal. We're very overextended we're very oversold on the MACD, and we're holding support above 3,500. So those are good signs. We just need to keep watching. So mRNA, obviously because of the COVID news, etc., mRNA is doing very well. Also because they got news that they're going to be, just positive news all around on mRNA. This is trading in completely new territory, so we have to look at this on different time frames. So to buy into scalps to the upside, what people are going to be watching for mRNA is a break of this high at 317.85 or a break of the pre-market high. So tomorrow, if mRNA is moving up even higher and it crosses above 318 in the pre-market to, for example, 320, a break above 320 is going to be a signal to get into calls potentially for mRNA. All right. And yeah, overall, very, very bullish. Clearly, it's super bullish. All right. Airbnb. Yeah, so this was affected very similar. It looks very, very similar to the IWM, PLTR, these other stocks that are affected by the economy, right? So if today's low at 130 doesn't hold, then it can fall down to 120, 150. All right. So 130 really needs to hold. You can see that it's acted as support multiple times in the past. And psychologically, 130 is a very important level. It's a round, even, strong number. And let's see if we can hold above support there. The RSI is nearing oversold. The MACD is oversold. And if we can hold above 130, we can make a bounce and move on higher. But it all obviously depends on the rest of the stock market. And AB also, not looking that great. Very dependent on the IWM and the SPY. If today's lows at 43.62 don't hold, then it could go back down to 42.93. All right. So we need to monitor how the rest of the market is really doing to see how AB is going to do as well. All right. And aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys on Wednesday.